Listen very carefully, because if you get Social Security, December just turned into the most confusing month we've seen in years, and almost nobody understands what actually happened. For millions of seniors, disabled Americans, and fixed income families, the usual payment schedule just shifted in a way that even banks weren't prepared for. And the strangest part is this: it didn't happen because of a single issue. It happened because 3 different timelines collided at once. Right now, thousands of people are already seeing dates move, deposits show up early, or messages from the SSA that don't match what their banks are showing. Some are hearing rumors about delays. Others are wondering if a missing payment means something is wrong with their benefits. And a very small group may even get 2 payments in the same week. But the real reason behind all this is much deeper than just early checks or holiday adjustments. December has always been a tricky month because of federal holidays, bank cutoff windows, and the way SSA schedules benefits. But this year, something unusual happened. A timing shift inside the federal calendar lined up with a year-end banking backlog and a new internal processing change that the public wasn't supposed to notice. And when all 3 things hit at the same time, December became a maze of start and stop payment patterns that even customer service representatives struggled to explain. As of now, every Social Security group is seeing something different. Retirees, SSDI, SSI, survivors, and rep payees all have slightly different rules for December, and when one little adjustment moves even a single day, everything else shifts with it. That's the root of the confusion. Some people see their payment earlier than expected, some see it later, and most people have no idea why it's happening. But here's the twist. This wasn't announced publicly, no big press release, no warning from the SSA, no widespread bulletin from banks. Instead, it quietly showed up in the background of the federal system, and the effects started rolling out before anyone could explain what was going on. And now the questions are piling up. Why did this shift happen? Who does it affect? And most importantly, what does it mean for your December money? That's where this gets interesting, because the confusion didn't start on December 1st. It actually started weeks earlier, with a single change that slipped under the radar and created a chain reaction that hit every Social Security group differently. And once you understand that moment, everything else suddenly makes sense. Now here's where the confusion actually started. To understand why December spiraled into chaos, you need to know the 4 triggers that all collided at the exact same time. None of them alone would have caused a major problem, but together they created one of the most confusing Social Security months we've seen in over a decade. The first trigger was the federal holiday placement. This year, the holiday calendar lined up in a way that forced the SSA to shift certain payments earlier than normal. SSA has a strict rule. If your payment date falls on a weekend or federal holiday, they must push it back to the previous business day. That sounds simple, but in December, even a 1-day change throws the entire rhythm off. That early shift then causes the next week's cycle to move, which then impacts the following week, and suddenly the entire month feels out of order. The second trigger was SSA's early release rule. This affects SSI recipients the most. Because January's SSI payment can't be released on a holiday, December ends up carrying an extra check. And when that extra payment lands so close to other December deposits, people assume something is wrong, missing, or doubled. The truth is, it's just the calendar. But most people never get a clear explanation. The third trigger hits silently from the banking system. Banks perform year-end reconciliation in December, which means they handle higher than normal transaction volume while preparing to close their financial books for the year. Some banks updated their processing windows without publicly announcing it. As a result, deposits that normally appear at 3 a.m. might suddenly appear at 8 a.m. or the next business day. That delay doesn't mean your money is gone. It just means your bank paused the release for internal processing, but nobody tells customers that. And then there was the fourth trigger, the one that almost nobody outside the SSA knows about. In mid-November, regional offices started reporting something called an internal timing misalignment. It was a short-term processing delay that affected batch files sent from SSA to the Federal Reserve, and then from the Federal Reserve to individual banks. It wasn't a system failure. It wasn't a shutdown. It was simply a timing shift. But even a tiny delay at the federal level creates a ripple effect throughout the entire system. What should have been a smooth handoff turned into a 24 to 72-hour window where banks and SSA were not perfectly in sync. This misalignment didn't stop payments. It didn't cancel anything. But it changed when some people saw pending deposits, when others saw nothing at all, and when a few saw early activity before their official date. That 72-hour gap is the heart of the December confusion. It made everything look unpredictable, even though the benefits themselves never changed. And here's what made it worse. None of these four triggers were communicated clearly to the public. No warning letter, no emergency bulletin, just silence. So people were left trying to figure out what was happening by refreshing their online banking apps, calling hotlines with 2-hour wait times, or comparing payment dates with friends and family. Meanwhile, SSA offices confirmed internally that December would be irregular across multiple categories, but they didn't have a simple way to explain the technical reasons to the average person. So word spread through rumours instead of reliable information. And now, every social security group is caught inside this perfect storm. Retirees, disabled beneficiaries, survivors, children, rep payees. Everyone is seeing a slightly different version of the same problem. Now, here's where things get even stranger. Because the way this affects your money depends entirely on which group you belong to. Now let's talk about what all of this actually means for you, because the impact isn't the same for everyone. December's confusion affects each group differently, and that's exactly why people are panicking. Once you understand your category, the entire month makes sense. If you get SSI, you're seeing the biggest shock. Your regular December payment arrives at the start of the month, but your January payment is coming early, at the very end of December. That means 2 payments in the same month. It's not extra money. It's not a bonus. It's simply January's payment arriving early because SSA can't pay on a holiday. But when both deposits land close together, people think something is duplicated or missing. Many see the early payment and assume more money is coming later. Others think the second payment is a mistake. Both feelings are understandable, but the truth is simple. It's just the calendar causing a double deposit month. If you're on SSDI or retirement benefits, your dates depend on your birthday group. And this year, those groups are experiencing different outcomes. Some are getting payments earlier than expected because a holiday pushed everything forward. Others are seeing small delays because their banks are processing files later than normal. And a handful of people fall into the window where the federal timing misalignment created a temporary blackout period. They might see the deposit pending 1 minute and gone the next, or nothing at all until their bank finishes its overnight process. Survivor benefits and children's benefits follow their own schedule, and this year that schedule brushed up against one of the busiest banking weeks of the entire year. That means some survivors will see a deposit appear early in the morning, disappear from pending status, and then reappear after the bank finalizes the file. It's unsettling, but it's not a loss. It's just part of the December chaos cycle. And here's the part nobody explains clearly. In December, the system can create what feels like a missing payment, even when the money is exactly on time, because the expected pattern breaks. If your November deposit arrived early and your December deposit arrives late, it creates a visual gap. That gap makes people think something is wrong with their benefits, even when every check is accounted for exactly as planned. Let me give you a real example. A viewer from Ohio reached out and said their SSDI deposit didn't show in their pending history, like it always does. At 6 a.m., nothing. At 9 a.m., still nothing. They panicked, checked forums, called their bank, and thought something was wrong with their eligibility. But the truth was simple. Their bank was holding the deposit in a delayed batch due to year-end processing. At 1:18 p.m., the money suddenly appeared. Nothing was wrong with their benefits. It was just December's timing mess. Another viewer in Texas got their SSI check early and thought it was an error. They thought it meant they wouldn't get January's payment at all. They were terrified. But again, nothing was wrong. It was the same early payment rule SSA has followed for years. December simply made it feel like everything was broken. Now here's where things get even more surprising. Because of how these triggers lined up, a very small group of people could see 2 payments land within the same week. This isn't a gift. It isn't a special adjustment. It's just a coincidence created by the calendar and the early release rule overlapping with the birthday-based cycle. That double-week shock is rare, but it's real, and it's confusing everyone who experiences it. And before we move on, there's something else you need to be aware of. Scammers love December. They know people are confused. They know payment dates look different. They know seniors are stressed about missing deposits. And they're using this moment to send fake emails, fake text alerts, fake account suspension warnings, and even fake SSA phone calls pretending to explain the changes. Do not respond to any message asking you to verify your social security number, your bank account, or your MySSA login. SSA will not text you about payment changes. Banks will not ask you to confirm your deposit by clicking a link. This is the time of year when scammers strike the hardest. And if that wasn't enough, there's one more twist. There's a new 2025 rule quietly being tested in limited regions that could permanently change how early month and holiday month payments are handled. That means December-style confusion could happen more often in the future if this rule expands nationwide. Nothing is final yet, and SSA hasn't made a public announcement, but insiders say the test zones are already active. Before you panic, take a breath, because the next part is the most important. This is where everything gets simplified, clarified, and broken down into exactly what you should expect. No more confusion, no more guessing, no more checking your bank account every hour. Before you panic, here's the part everyone needs to hear. Let's simplify December so you don't feel lost, stressed, or confused. The truth is, your benefits are safe. Nothing is being taken away. Nothing is being reduced. December looks chaotic on the outside, but once you understand the pattern, everything becomes predictable. Here's the first thing you need to do. Identify which group you belong to: SSI, SSDI, retirement, survivors, children's benefits, rep payee accounts. Once you know your category, you instantly know why your date looks different. SSI gets the biggest shift because January's check comes early. SSDI and retirees follow the birthday schedule. Survivors follow their assigned cycle. And every one of those cycles interacts differently with December's holiday calendar. Here's the second step. Know that early payments aren't extra money. They're not bonuses. They're not unexpected deposits. It's simply the SSA moving your regular benefit to the last business day before a holiday. It feels strange because it breaks the monthly rhythm, but your total yearly amount never changes. Nothing is missing. Nothing is doubled. It's just a timing adjustment. Here's the third thing you need to understand. Bank delays in December do not mean your benefits were denied, rejected, or frozen. A delayed pending status does not mean there's a problem with your Social Security. It just means your bank might be processing end-of-year files or holding deposits until the next clearing window. If your money doesn't show at midnight like it normally does, that's not a signal that something is wrong. It's simply December doing what December does every year, slowing things down before the new year begins. Now let's talk about safety. If you ever receive a text or email claiming your benefits are suspended, blocked, or frozen because of December's changes, Ignore it immediately. That message is fake. SSA does not send warnings like that. Your bank does not need you to click any link to release a deposit. Scammers know December is confusing, and they target people at moments just like this. The safest place to confirm your payment is your secure MySSA account or your bank's official app, nowhere else. Next, here's something the SSA confirmed internally that most people don't know. Despite the misalignment window and the banking delays, every December payment is still being released on schedule from the federal side. The confusion is only about when it shows up in your bank account, not whether you get it. That is a huge difference. Your money is guaranteed as long as you're eligible. The system hasn't failed, it just shifted. Let me give you the simple checklist that eliminates 99% of the stress this month. Check your category. Check your official payment date on SSA's schedule. Check your bank's app for the most recent transactions. Ignore all unofficial warnings. And do not assume a missing pending deposit means your benefits are late. If you follow that checklist, the entire month becomes easy to navigate. And finally, take a deep breath because you're okay. December always feels chaotic, but this year layered multiple timing issues on top of each other. Once the calendar flips into January, everything resets, the delays clear, the early payments normalize, the banking system returns to its usual rhythm, and the confusion disappears overnight. You are not alone in this. Millions of people are seeing the same patterns and feeling the same stress. But the truth is simple. Your benefits are secure. Your payments are on track. And this December confusion is temporary. Stay informed, because the next updates are just as important for your financial stability. And if you want the clearest breakdowns, the fastest alerts, and the most reliable explanations, make sure you subscribe. I'm here every day to walk you through the changes, protect you from misinformation, and help you stay one step ahead. You deserve clarity, you deserve peace of mind, and you deserve to understand what's happening with your money without fear. Stay strong, stay informed, and I'll see you in the next update.